A lot of other important world news is being shadowed by coronavirus. What are some side effects of this global pandemic that nobody is taking into account? Tensions will be high. Stress from either having lost a job or still having to go physically to one in the middle of a pandemic. CPS in quarantine. Police too busy enforcing quarantine. People with alcoholic tendencies either going through withdrawal if they didn't stock up on booze, or over drinking because there's no bartender to cut them off. No mandatory reporters to observe and report. Add to the tension seeing your 401k evaporating. No sports on TV. Every day, the news is worse than the previous day. Yes, people with short fuses are not going to be pleasant company. Came here to say this. My boyfriend can get pretty argumentative, and it normally isn't much of a problem. But we've been together in our small apartment for a solid 4 days with the added pressure of not knowing what will happen with our jobs, and I'm already losing my mind. There have been some on Yahoo Finance about how divorces are going up in China due to the quarantine also. Finally, the entire planet recognizes that working on a computer does not require you to commute for hours to an office. It is a win-win for businesses and workers. Businesses need less office space, less maintenance, have smaller water and electricity bills, etc. Workers have more free time, hours of stupid commute to work and back, gone. And it is good for the environment, as no one has to burn fuel or waste electricity to travel to switch on a computer. It will also solve major issues like traffic jams or housing problems in populated areas. You don't need to live in a crowded city anymore where rents are sky high. You can move to a cheaper place and work remotely. All the evil boomer bosses and managers who force their workers to do that BS because they don't trust them to do a good job from home, are exposed now and have no excuse for this BS anymore. It is basically a slap in the face of old people who now have to accept that technology has already changed the world. The people who are panic buying are probably gonna end up throwing away all the food. Saw a woman walk out of a store with 12-gallon jugs of milk. Turned to my nephew and told him that milk is going to spoil before she gets through half of it. What a waste. If you're gonna stock up on stuff, stock up on non-perishables. Not milk. Naomi Klein wrote an entire book on how developed countries take advantage of widespread crises to introduce controversial policies that benefit those in power. Because everyone is preoccupied with the current public health crisis, the coronavirus creates the perfect conditions for the US to increase surveillance, cut payroll taxes, and bail out polluting industries like airlines and oil companies. My wife's coworker decided to take his family up to their bug-out place to wait out Teotwaki. Was back at work today because the road to his hiding hole is still snowed in and he needs money. So people realizing their prepper plans are mostly apocalypse fantasies and not really viable. Conversely, and on a positive note, a lot of companies, especially in healthcare, are getting live fire tests of their business continuity and disaster recovery plans. It is really making people think about what is important to have and how to baton down the hatches. The company I work at is working out how to make it to where everyone can work from home for the longest possible time. And we are also updating a lot of people to new solutions like Skype calling. Some of it was in the plans and even slowly being implemented, but this sure sped it up. Even the toilet paper debacle has made a lot of organizations think about the possibility of basic supply chain breakdowns. I'm wondering how much of the shortage is panic buying, and how much is just average people who eat out a lot switching to eating at home faster than distribution can adjust. I bet restaurant distributors are struggling to sell their exact same items right now. And kids who normally get lunch at school who are staying home and need to be fed. And families who normally shop for 1 week at a time switching to 2 or 3 weeks at a time in order to reduce the amount of time they have to go out. I had to stop using heroin. I've been an addict on and off for 20 years. I stayed sober for 6 years after going to rehab in 2010 and working a program. I relapsed in 2015 and it's been an uphill battle since. In 2019 I went to detox 3 times and rehab once. In February I went back to detox but used almost immediately when I got out. I'm not proud of it, but addiction is a witch and she's got me. Until now because my plug is afraid of COVID-19. I should be too because the drug use compromises my immune system. He told me he's not going to do any deals for a while and he's staying home. I imagine supply is also low with travel bans and heightened security. I haven't used in 3 days. I really hope he gets another job or at least sticks to quarantine for a while. A lot of other important world news is being shadowed by coronavirus. Apparently the US Congress is in the works to pass a law that would set an end to end-to-end encryption. Believe me, you need end-to-end encryption. Badly. I know the normal argumentation is that only the government will be able to look into it, and it always makes you so suspicious to scream and shout that you want the best privacy and you don't care if it is only the government. But in the end, governments can fail, and even if they don't, they're made up of humans who can spectacularly fail. End-to-end encryption is public infrastructure of the net. It protects yourself and your privacy. It is important. Taking it away takes away personal freedom in a significant manner. And while the virus is really bad, this could mean a step in a honestly even more dystopian future. State budgets that rely on casino slot machine revenue will take a hit. Vegas is taking a drastic hit. We get the majority of our budget from tourist revenue, and many major casinos shut down this week, so soon the whole strip will be closed. My brother and many of my friends who work on the strip are currently unemployed. It blows. Crusty old executives realizing they can have some of their workforce actually work from home and save money on office space for equal productivity. I'm an application developer in the public sector. I work for just such a crust hole. We own the buildings. I worked here for years, about 20 hours a week from home, and years before that 60 plus from home. Hired said crust hole. He was probably all the rage in 1987, and now I'm sitting in the epicenter of the outbreak in the US at work. That's right. Coders that aren't allowed to telecommute. The industry that brought the idea to the masses sitting in an office. Did I mention we are under federal and state declarations of emergency? F this place. Domestic abuse will dramatically go up. Victims will be even more isolated, police response will go down, and being cooped up in the house will mean tensions are high. Kids in abusive homes won't have the escape and support of school. As a child protection worker, this is really relevant to my current work issues. We rely on schools to help build on safety, and if families are to be quarantined, how do we go about checking in on their safety? It's really tough, and we're in turmoil on what to do. People are at least finally washing their hands. I had to email our facilities manager a few weeks ago to put up a sign as people were leaving stalls and not hand washing. So some tiny sign goes up. Only now does a bigger and bolder sign go up, and of course all the emails. People are gross. Companies will find out that they don't need office space because it's just as profitable for people to work from home. If you work from home, you claim your house as a business expense on your taxes. I've worked from home for 10 plus years, and have always been able to write off a portion of my mortgage. The amount you're allowed to deduct is based on the square footage of your home. That's in the US. You can write off any unreimbursed business expense, but that's always been true, not just for working from home. Not including stuff like mileage for driving to work or clothing, stuff you'd normally have anyway. If you have unreimbursed mileage for things like driving 2 hours to attend a meeting, driving to the airport for a business trip, that can be written off. My company would pay for my internet and phone, about 80% of it, but I don't submit those expenses because I need the write-off. Probably mental health, I'd say. Because of lockdowns occurring, I believe that a lot more people will slowly become more anxious and depressed because of not being able to do certain things such as work and watching sports. Also all the negative news that's literally 24/7. Best thing to do is not watch any news, just look for updates in regards to health and hygiene advice. The news just constantly reporting on cases, deaths or mass panics only creates more panic in people. Hurricane supply shopping will be a lot easier in a few months because everyone will already have everything they need. Also, more seriously, we are about to realize how badly our infrastructure needs improvement. We are not equipped to deal with this kind of crisis. And I am not just referring to the medical ramifications. The sewer systems in many cities are not going to be able to handle so many people being stuck in their homes and apartments. Usually they are spread throughout the cities, at schools and at work, but everyone being in the residential areas is going to heavily tax a lot of already stressed out sewer lines. Especially in lower income areas of large cities. We're talking systems that haven't been upgraded in at least 50 years, already trying to keep up with 2 to 3 times the capacity they were built for, now being asked to handle even more. It's going to be a lot worse than people realize. Strong sales and stock performance for Procter & Gamble, home goods, 3M, masks, any medical device manufacturer, etc. Possibly worsened internet response times, more people working and schooling from home, increased demand for networking technical support. Many of us who working in the field of early childhood education, ECE, are discovering that, Despite our abysmal pay, we're evidently so important that many of our programs aren't shutting down, even in areas where kindergartens on up through college are. I'm deeply concerned as to the potential impact of having snotty, sneezy, coughy infants, toddlers, and young children coming together on a daily basis during this pandemic. Lord knows they're incapable of following the recommended measures to prevent the spread of airborne viruses like the coronavirus. For example, covering their faces when coughing or sneezing, maintaining 6 feet of distance, resisting the urge to putting any and all things in their mouths. And I'm also concerned for the health of EK professionals who are being forced to wallow in this petri dish of potential plague. What's more, I don't understand why older children and young adults and their teachers are being protected from the pandemic, but the youngest children and their teachers are not. Spending more time with my wife and daughter. My commute from work is 1 hour plus and I work late hours. If I'm home before my 10-month-old daughter is put to bed, I'm usually too lazy and tired to give her a bath or read or play. Since working from home more, it's been kind of awesome seeing her more and getting to do those things. The homeless suffering even more. Homeless person here. Yeah, it really sucks already. I can't imagine how much worse it will get. The library in my county has closed, but at least they're keeping their Wi-Fi on, so I'm just sitting in my car in front of the library. At least the gas stations are still open so I can heat my ramen, but if they close, I guess it's dry, uncooked ramen for me. Quite a lot of things we are currently doing because we have to, will from now on be recognized as things that we can do. Stuff like work from home and teleconferencing will be a thing that people in business will use more readily from now on. Quite a few corporations may even end up looking at what they pay for office space and move from having WFH as a perk to be doled out to the deserving something that can save them money if they make people do it. Online education may similarly be more of a thing in the future. On the other hand, a lot of countries may look at the things that went wrong this time and learn from them for the future. Keeping a sizable reserve of masks and gloves ready and maybe even subsidize local production of things like that. Creating better coordination in pandemic response institutions. Stuff like that. In 2030 or whenever the next big pandemic comes around, we will see which countries learned from what is currently happening and which didn't. In a similar vein, young children that are currently being taught personal hygiene develop lifelong skills like washing your hands correctly that will greatly influence their future health. Generally, what people will learn from this will influence future susceptibility to other diseases and disasters. On a more negative line of thought, we are damaging the environment much less this year. Planes, cruise ships, factories, even regular cars will see much less use in the coming weeks and months. Tourism hotspots will see less traffic and be given a chance to recover a bit. This should all be good, but it might lead to people looking at the numbers to think that things aren't as bad as they really are and not take the actions they should take. I don't know if anyone has said it, but people who are paid hourly won't get paid. Right now public places are closed in southern Germany, which means I simply can't work. I have a monthly salary and I have an additional wage, paid by commission. So my monthly income is now half of what I used to get. This prohibition is until June 15th. So I would say, personal bankruptcy? It's exposing a lot of immoral business practices. For example, many internet service providers are now getting rid of data caps during this time. So why the hell did you have data caps at all? They told us data caps were required, that there was no way they could get rid of them. Then this happens and they just flip a switch. There's a lot of other examples. My wife works in the blood bank at a major trauma center in one of the largest cities in the US. She says they are running low on blood because people aren't donating as much right now. So if you are in a serious car accident or surgery and you need a blood transfusion, the time may come soon where they just don't have enough to give you. It's actually great for the climate. China has reduced its total emissions by 25%, which would account for 6% of the global emissions in the same period last year. This is thought to save many lives that are usually taken due to the horrible air quality in China. Forcing everyone, even the healthy, to stay home, will actually kill people with its economic impact. People will lose income they need to buy food, healthcare, and shelter, and the mortality rates of the homeless are only going up every year. If the utilities aren't properly maintained, people can die from essential machines losing power and water becoming unsafe to drink. And if the post stops working, a lot of elderly who opted for home delivery for their prescriptions will be out. Thanks for listening to Radio TTS. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell for more interesting videos. Click the right box for the Society is Lying to You playlist. Let us know in the comments what you think about these predictions. And share your own predictions too.